How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. Mike here. Today we're going to talk about the power of now, more of your psyche, right? The power of now. It's a great book actually, and I wanted to review it today and also tell you about how it helped me. The power of now. Before we even get into the book, there's some concepts that I want to discuss first. When you think about just us, you as an individual, myself, when you think about your personality trait, right? Let's take a man, to be more specific, because I'm a man and I can really only speak from the point of view of a man. When you think about the average man, or myself, let me speak for myself, operating in our society as we have it, there's certain things that we're taught and there's certain things that we're expected of. As a man or a woman in different cultures, you have set of roles, even though it feels like those roles continue to change, but for the most part, you're expected to fit into certain shoes. You're expected to carry on certain duties, right? Also, as a man comes the ego. I know for me, that's been the case. Now, ego it's a friend and an enemy. Let's put it that way. Because when I think of your ego, when I think of my ego can help motivate me to do something. It really can help me, it could help me channel my focus to doing something big or going after something even beyond the fear. That's what ego does. It's a booster in a way. But also your ego can be very, very demanding of you. It can make you just drive you crazy and ask things of you that really isn't you. Think about it. This capitalist society that we live in, and I am a full-blown capitalist, I admit, but when you think about our culture, it's go go go, and really that's for me, that's how I'm built. I'm A-type personality. I believe in working hard and just going 1,000 miles per hour. Some days I can't help it. Some days I'm able to pull back and be like, hey, slow down, right? But when you think about how we're brought up and how we're stirred up in this culture, you're constantly going. And your ego, it's really what's driving that. So you think of your ego as this character that you made up. Really isn't you. It's just a character that you built. Everything around you has to satisfy that ego. Now, where am I going with all of this? I wanted to introduce the concept of ego first, because then the power of now comes in. So when you think of your ego, and you now also think about all of the problems that you have, whether with relationships, whether with work, with business, with anything, could be even physical or your mental state. Think about all of the problems and all of the things that you worry about on a daily basis. Chances are they're either coming from your past or you're thinking about your future. At least that's the case for me. When I think about what keeps me up at night, it's never really what's happening in the moment. It's always something in the future. I'm grateful that I don't live in the past. I'm able to compartmentalize. It's a blessing and a curse, but I'm able to compartmentalize and I'm able to move on very quickly from my past. But oftentimes I tend to live in the future, and that's because I have a crazy imagination, right? And so I have all these things that I'm thinking about doing, or this new business or venture, or this family, or this friendship. I just think about the future a lot. And with that, as nice and fuzzy as that could feel initially, it becomes a pressure. It becomes a load that I now have to carry. And then anxiety could set in, or a higher pressure could set in. And now you're demanding of yourself of something that hasn't even happened yet. Does that make sense? So that's where the power of now and your ego ties in. So I really call this book the absolute ego killer. If you want to kill your ego, or you want to at least take control over it, The Power of Now is a great book, because it really teaches you the concept of staying and living in the moment. And when you honestly get to the root of everything that's worrying you, or that you worry yourself about, chances are it's not what's happening in your current state. It's always something that happened in the past that you really have no control over, because it's happened. You can't change it. Or something that is supposed to happen in the future or something that you're thinking about doing in the future. And that's what brings you the most pain. It's what brings you the most pressure. It's what brings you the most worry. And that's really what this book breaks down. The power of now. I'm not sure how I got into reading this stuff, but I can tell you that it's really helped me figure out certain things about myself that I didn't know about. Again, there's certain personalities that I take pride in and that you take pride in, depending on who you are and how you operate. There's certain things that I do on a daily that I'm like, man, I'm so proud. I'm proud of myself that I'm very hardworking. I'm proud of myself that I'm able to just go after what I want. But now when I have the desire to do something or go after something that I want, I stop to think, is it me that really wants this thing, or is it my ego that wants it? I'll give you an example. Right now, my family and I, we're actually getting ready to move, even though the market is stupid right now, but we want to be able to get out into somewhere more peaceful, somewhere bigger. And I always imagine to myself, like, man, if I move or whenever I'm ready to buy the next house, I want to buy this big mansion and get all this luxurious things, right? And so recently, in the process of looking at, and this is actually one of the things that my wife and I enjoy doing, just shopping for houses. It's nice, it's cozy, right? And now when we come across certain properties, I look at my wife and I go, do we really need all that space, right? Like when I think of where we are right now, it's perfect for a family of 3. There's not a lot to clean about. We have all of the amenities that we could possibly want. So now in wanting to have a bigger space, and this is also something, it's a phenomenon that happens with everybody, which I talked about in a previous video of whenever you come into, say, more wealth or you come into more resources, your taste becomes bigger, right? You want to buy bigger things. You want to buy more because, well, I've got the resources. Let's say my budget was $100,000. It'd be hard to find a house for $100,000, but we're giving an example. Let's say I was pre-approved for $100,000 to buy a house, and the $100,000 would buy me as much luxury and amenities as I need. Now I'm thinking to myself, do I really need to buy a $100,000 house? What do I really need in a house? For me personally, I need a bed to sleep in. I need a space that's just a spare room for myself to set up my gadgets in my office, and that's it. I personally don't need anything else. And when I think of my wife and my kids, I share the same room with my wife. The kids need their own room. That's all we need. Every other thing, the basic amenities, the kitchen, even a pool. I always thought, well, we could get a pool. It's nice to have a pool. Guess what? It's just a fancy thing. If you don't do a lot of hosting or you don't have events and people coming over your house, it's just a fancy liability to have all these amenities that you don't need. And I say all of that to say this, it's really your ego that's driving all of these decisions when you think about it. Because when you take a step back and you think about, what do I really want? Outside of the ego, think about your own needs and your own true desires that you truly need. Chances are you don't need a bigger house or you don't need the fancy car. You just need what you need. And when you're able to separate that from the ego, then life becomes so much more meaningful. That's why this book is so important. It gives you the concept of just remaining in the moment and being able to tell if it's you or your ego that's driving any decision that you're making. That's really what I want to leave you with in this video. This is a concept you can apply to any aspect of your life, whether it be relationships, business, but more importantly, the relationship that you have with yourself. You need to be able to make that separation. And guys, you can pick up this book. Chances are you could probably even find them for free online, but you can get them on Amazon. You can also get them on Audible. I actually read most of my books through Audible, so I highly recommend that you go read this book. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up, and if this is your first time, be sure to subscribe with the notification bell on. Again, my name is Mike. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you on the next video. Peace.